Have you ever felt like no one's watching anymore? Like your name disappeared from their conversations? Like you used to be a force, and now you're just fading into the background? People used to check for you. They asked what you were up to. They admired your grind. And now? It's quiet. Their interest dried up the moment your spotlight dimmed. But what if I told you that silence isn't rejection, it's redirection? What if being overlooked is the safest place for your next level? That's okay. That silence you're in, that season of being overlooked, it's holy, it's strategic, it's necessary. Because noise doesn't build legacy. Applause doesn't develop character. The real growth happens when no one is clapping and you're still moving. Let them think you fell off. Let them wonder if you're still in the game. Because while they're scrolling, you're building. While they're talking, you're transforming. While they're watching others, you're becoming unshakable. This isn't the end of your story. It's the quiet part before the comeback. So, sit in the silence, but don't waste it. Build. Everything powerful is formed in secret. Think about that. Seeds don't bloom in the sunlight. They take root in darkness, in dirt, in places no one celebrates. The tree doesn't grow overnight. Its strength isn't in the leaves, it's in the roots. And roots are buried hidden beneath the surface. That's what a hidden season is. It's where your roots go deep, where your faith, your grit, your resilience get tested and built. Moses knew something about that. He went from the palace of Egypt to the wilderness of Midian. No followers, no influence, just sheep and silence. For 40 years. Most would have called it a setback, but God called it preparation. That wilderness season was building a leader, breaking the prince to raise the prophet. When God is going to use you greatly, he hides you deeply. Not to punish you, but to protect the work he's doing in you. So, if you're in that space, feeling forgotten, feeling invisible, don't fight it. Lean into it, because you're not being buried. You're being planted. In a world where everyone is shouting to be seen, silence is your weapon. Because when you're quiet, you become unpredictable. When you're quiet, you're not distracted by applause or opinions. You stay focused. You move smarter. The most dangerous person is not the loudest in the room. It's the one watching, preparing, moving in silence. Jesus healed people and told them, don't tell anyone. Not because he wasn't proud of the miracle, but because he understood timing. He understood mission over popularity. There's something sacred about keeping things to yourself, about doing the work, becoming more, and saying less. Silence gives you space to grow without comparison, to win without pressure, to fail without judgment. Because when you post every move, you invite every opinion. But when you keep it sacred, you protect your momentum. If you're building in silence right now, you're not hiding, you're maturing. You're learning to move differently, strategically, intentionally. So let the silence shape you. Let it sharpen you. Let it teach you how to hear your own voice again, without the noise of the crowd. Because when you finally emerge, they won't just see what you built. They'll feel the weight of who you became. We've been tricked into thinking that if it's not online, it's not happening. That if no one's clapping, it must not be working. But growth isn't always loud. Progress isn't always obvious. And real success, it rarely shows up in the form of likes, comments, or trends. You don't need an audience to evolve. You need intention. You need persistence. You need vision. David didn't step onto the battlefield because he was trending. He got there because he was obedient. He was trusted. He had already won battles in private. Before he ever faced Goliath, he faced lions and bears when no one was watching. And that's what gave him the courage to stand in public. If you're not being recognized right now, don't let that discourage you. It's not proof you're behind. It's proof you're being trained. Public progress is a myth. It looks good, but it doesn't always last. What's built in the spotlight often crumbles under pressure, but what's built in silence, that lasts. So let the world underestimate you. Let them think you've peaked. Meanwhile, you keep becoming. You keep showing up. You keep growing quietly, deeply, and consistently. So, how do you actually build in silence? How do you move in purpose without broadcasting it every step? First, discipline in the dark. Wake up early. Show up to your life. Build your habits like no one is watching, because they're not. This isn't for Instagram. This is for your future. The world claps for outcomes, not effort. But God sees the mornings when you choose discipline over distraction. He sees the moments you kept going without applause. Second, protect your energy. Not everyone deserves to hear your dreams. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Silence is not just about not speaking. It's about being selective with access. You don't owe anyone a front row seat to your process. You're allowed to build behind closed doors. You're allowed to preserve your focus by guarding your peace. Third, outgrow your past quietly. You don't need to make announcements. You don't need to declare that you've changed. Your actions will reveal it. Your elevation will speak for itself. True growth is quiet. You won't need to defend your transformation. Your fruit will speak. The people who used to know you will notice something's different, even if you never explain. Fourth, be consistent when no one is clapping, when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's just you and God and your grind. That's where your character is forged. Consistency is louder than any speech. Keep showing up. The strength you're building in obscurity is what will sustain you when visibility comes. Fifth, build systems, build structures, build a mindset that isn't dependent on hype. Because hype fades, but systems sustain. Don't just chase moments. Design a lifestyle, one that's rooted in stewardship, not spotlight, in focus, not frenzy. And finally, walk like you've already seen the promise. Not cocky, but confident. Not loud, but certain. When you've had a glimpse of what God is doing in your future, you don't need to prove anything to anyone in the present. Because when you're building in silence, you're not just avoiding noise. You're protecting the sacred. You're preserving the process. You're becoming someone no stage could have made you. There's going to come a moment when they look around and ask, "Where did you go?" They'll scroll back through their minds, trying to remember the last time they saw you win. And then you'll reappear, not just as the person they knew, but as someone entirely transformed. Let them think you disappeared. Let them assume you gave up. While they were watching everyone else, you were becoming someone unshakable. When they notice again, don't respond with bitterness. Smile and keep building, because it was never about proving them wrong. It was always about becoming who you were born to be. Your comeback won't need an announcement. It won't need a headline. The work will speak. The fruit will speak. Joseph was forgotten in a prison cell. They didn't check for him. They didn't remember him. But when Pharaoh had a dream no one could solve, Joseph's name was suddenly remembered. He didn't fight for recognition. He stayed faithful in obscurity. And when the moment came, God brought him forward. And just like Joseph, your silence doesn't mean you're finished. It means God is saving your name for the right moment. So when they notice again, let them be surprised. But you won't be, because you never stopped building. Your silence has been misunderstood. But what they called quiet, God called covering. What they called invisible, God called intentional. You were never building just for now. You were building a legacy, a foundation that generations after you will stand on. The world celebrates flashes of fame, but heaven honors faithful builders, those who labor in love, in secret, in silence. No viral moment can replace the depth of a life built on purpose. You're not just rising, you're rising with weight, with wisdom, with witness. When God finishes writing your story, it won't just be a comeback. It'll be a blueprint, a roadmap for others to follow. So don't stop. Keep building, keep praying, keep becoming. Let the silence echo with progress. Let your future applaud what your present is enduring. Because the ones who build in silence don't just return. They arrive, whole, ready, unshakable. Let them think you fell off. Let them think it's over. Just don't forget who you're becoming in the quiet. Build in silence. And when you show up, they'll know. This is Revive In. Keep rising, quietly, strongly, faithfully.